8th inning in the Rockin' Well, Elvis will be leaving the building shortly. Letterman calls up, gets me on the phone, and he's got some selected home run calls he wanted to hear. That was one of them. Instead of, it's gone or she's out of here, we're supposed to say when a ball leaves, Elvis will be leaving the building shortly, or Elvis has left the building. Well, Elvis left the building when Herbeck cranked one into the seats. No question about that. McGee starts the 8th inning. McGee and then Pendleton to follow. And Juan Berenguer trying to wrap this one up. Ten to 5. Kelly has to think about something here, too. He's got a 5-run lead. He's got Berenguer who's worked 2 innings, and he's got tomorrow, he hopes. Does he want to have Reardon pitch an inning today and maybe be a little sharper? Does he want to bring Berenguer out? Because if Berenguer, let's say, were to go all the way, if he works 4 innings today, he might be limited tomorrow. So he's got that thing to mull over right now. What do you think, Jim?
I think 1 inning.
You think 1 inning for Reardon?
Yeah, but going back to that story he told us about trying to get that kid in the minor league some innings when the score was 9-0 and when it ended 9-8. He's got to manage for today. But as far part of managing for today is to get Reardon an inning so he'll be sharp. And then you do have Berenguer, who pitched in 4 out of the 5 playoff games. As you look at Jeff Reardon, he's looking down there.
Yeah,
Either hears us or he's looking for a message.
I think he'd like an inning. McGee fouls it back. Remember, he had yesterday off, and there's Viola, who will pitch tomorrow. But Reardon has not worked very much in this series. He did not work in Game 1. He worked 1 inning in Game 2. He did not pitch in 3. He didn't pitch in 4, and he's getting ready. And he worked a couple of innings, an inning and a fraction in 5.
I think you do it as much as you said. You do it as much for Reardon as you do, or Berenguer as much as you do Reardon. You really compliment both pitchers. If indeed that's Kelly's idea about bringing Reardon in the 9th inning.
2-2 the count.
Well, what's impressed me so much about Juan Berenguer, a couple of tough outings. Everybody kind of blamed Tom Kelly along with Juan for squandering that 1-0 lead. That's pretty easy to do with the 3 runs back in Game 3, but he's really adjusted. He's used his breaking pitch, and you learn from your mistakes, and this is one guy that has.
Three and 2 on Willie McGee. Worrell and the good Dr. London, the rest of the Cardinals.
I don't think Tom Kelly wants to bring in Reardon by necessity. He would want to bring him in to give him an inning's worth of work. He doesn't want to bring him in to a tight situation. There's a big difference.
Exactly. Herbeck. 1 out. Pendleton coming up.
Yeah, you asked any reliever, and they want to come in to start the inning if they have a choice. Now, obviously, they don't on many occasions.
We mentioned Viola definitely tomorrow. Look, what Whitey said before the game was this. He said, I'm thinking about McGrain, who pitched in Game 1. The other day he had mentioned Cox on 2 days rest, but he said, I'm thinking about McGrain. I'm going to talk to Cox. So it will be one of the two. If it's Cox, he's going on 2 days rest as Pendleton hurts himself on that swing. You can tell that Terry is in a little bit of agony. Remember, he's got that rib damage. And so while he shakes it off, the count is 0-1. But Whitey's got McGrain, who has not pitched since Game 1, at least it started since Game 1. And Cox on 2 days rest. Matthews, but Matthews has come out of 2 postseason games with that quadricep injury, so it can't be him. Or it doesn't figure to be.
Whitey has said he would be very, very unlikely to get into another ball game. Greg Matthews, that is.
So what he does is he starts to look backwards, and optimally for Whitey, he says, let me see. I get 2 or maybe 3 out of Worrell. If Daly can give me 1 or 2, I got to get me somebody to give me 5.
That's where the problem arises.
Well, on the stat sheet, you know, throughout you go into a major league clubhouse and it has all of the averages of the players. And then there's another category that says others down at the bottom. That's for the players that have been farmed out, brought up, and a conglomerate average for all of those that have been there. Tomorrow, it's others for both teams. Others.
All others.
Yeah.
That's fouled back. And it's 2-2.
It'd be interesting if they start Joe McGrain. He really did not pitch that poorly. The line score shows that he gave up 4 or 5 runs, but 8 days between starts, not the best circumstances, even though he's thrown on the side, but that's not like pitching in a ball game.
Still 2-2 on Terry Pendleton.
There is no question that if the Twins win this game, they have a much more stable pitching situation for a lot of reasons. They're going with their ace, Frank Viola. They have a rested bullpen for the most part. Reardon, certainly their stopper. You've got a guy who can go 6 or 7 innings, and Reardon healthy. Schatzeder relatively rested.
Line to right field deep. Bernansky goes back and plays it off the trash bag and holds him to a single. Tom Bernansky owns the canvas out there. And well, he should. He's been playing here since the ballpark opened.
Pendleton said he likes to look for a fastball off of Berenguer, and this is what it comes down to. He gets one and then just smashes it to right. But down by 5 runs, and having seen Bernansky play the trash bag out there, you stay right at first. It's like really Yaz playing the left field wall. People that are really adept playing a certain ballpark.
Lindemann, 1-0. There's Reardon now, beginning to throw in the pen. I know one thing about Bernansky. If he ever takes up highlight, I want him and Mike Quinella. 2-0 the count.
You imagine someone trying to pick up the game. They've heard all these terms, and now finally you hear about an outfielder playing the trash bag.
Yeah, there it is.
Make you want to give up the game of baseball. I've heard everything.
3-0. How about Bernansky 30 years from now telling his grandkids nobody could play the trash bag like I did. Dick Such is going to go out to the mound now with a count 3-0. Dick Such is a guy who knows a little bit about pitching. He was a minor league pitcher for the most part, and in one particular season, Dick Such was 0-16, and his earned run average was 2.81. There it is. In 1967, York, Pennsylvania in the Eastern League, he was 0-16 with a 2.81 ERA, and do you know what? He got called up by the parent club at the end of the season. Didn't pitch, though.
Only a parent would call you up.
Yeah, that parent club was the second edition of the Washington Senators, not the ones that are now the Minnesota Twins, the ones that are now the Texas Rangers. And he said, as Lindemann stands in with a count 3-0, ready to take a pitch here. Such said on the last day of the year, he's 0-15. He has a 1-run lead, 2 out in the 9th inning, and the second baseman made an error to allow 2 runs to score.
But you wouldn't be talking about it if he hadn't done that.
That's right. In the air to shallow right. Bernansky calls Lombardozzi off and makes the play. 2 down.
Much more impressive to be 0-16 than 1-15.
Bob Miller of the original New York Mets won a game on the last day of the season to make his record 1-12
right
back in 1962.
Tom Lawless got a hit on the last day of this season.
Yeah.
To get his second hit of the year. Tom Lawless. And then there's Oquendo, who's 1 for 2.
It'll be interesting to see if this game does or is played tomorrow. Will Viola pitch around Lawless?
2 out. There's Tom. 0-1 to count. Pendleton goes. It's low, and they just give him second base. So Terry, despite the rib problems, has 2 steals today and was going on another pitch at one point. Hanging out a sign for Whitey. He wants to play tomorrow. One and two.
And he might if a right-hander were pitching. He can throw. He can hit from the left side. But I don't think Whitey wants to match up Viola against Pendleton hitting left-handed.
In the air to center. If Newton was right, this baby will plop into the glove of Puckett. And Sir Isaac, you never fail us. At the end of 7.5, 10-5, Minnesota.
The advanced new Chevy half-ton is all new. Ford isn't. And the advantages stack up. Chevy gives you new 2-tier loading. Ford doesn't. More 2-sided galvanized steel. A bigger, heavier frame. And on top of it all, more standard power with Vortec V6. Want a load of new features? Test drive the first all-new full-size pickup introduced in this decade.
The heartbeat of America.
The advanced new full-size Chevy.
That's today's Chevy truck. As the years go by, I know I'll always have a friend. Just as long as you stand by me.
For over 100 years, friendships have been formed and kept over the quality beers of Anheuser-Busch.
Darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me.
In McDonald's, we're tossing salads fresh all day. Every day.
I mean, it's fresh when you get it, and it's fresh when I pop it in my mouth. It's like having somebody come in your own kitchen and make you a salad.
I come through the drive-thru. It's quick. It's easy.
McDonald's Chef Salad, Chicken Salad Oriental, and Garden Salad. For a taste that's tossed fresh, fresh.
It's really crisp and fresh.
My taste buds just went crazy.
Tossed fresh all day. McDonald's salads.
It doesn't matter where. I looked up and there was no more ceiling, no more roof. It doesn't matter when.
We didn't know where to turn.
The Allstate Catastrophe Team stands ready. A team of experts around the country ready to converge on any disaster.
My Allstate adjuster was here on the spot.
The Allstate adjuster showed me that he had the compassion for a person that really needs it.
Leave it to the good hands, people.
We are in good hands.
You're in good hands.
With Allstate.
That's for sure.
A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Back in Minnesota, Al Michaels along with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver, Game 6. First 6 games of series, each won by the home team. Dodgers in 55, they went on to win. Yankees 56, they did. Dodgers 65, they did. And Pirates against Baltimore in 71, James, you were in that series?
Yes, I was. We were, well, in fact, the whole team was in the series till Steve Blass came to the mound and beat us 2-1 on the final game of the World Series that year.
At Baltimore.
Yes.
So now Puckett to start things in the bottom of the 8th inning. Gaetti and Baylor to follow. Lee Tunnell in relief. 10-5 Twins. Cardinals in the 9th. As you look at Straker, who started this game for Minnesota, the Cardinals have 8-9-1. Oquendo, Pena, and Coleman. One and one.
In 1955, when that first happened, that was the game Johnny Padres shut out the Yankees 2-0. And Game 7, at Yankee Stadium. The catch in the 8th inning by Sandy Amorose.
Right at the line. Two and one. Mr. Baylor, and don't forget Mr. Baylor on Mr. Herbeck's day was the guy who tied the game with a 2-run blast in the 5th. Three and one. Kirby trying to keep a perfect day alive. 3 singles and a walk. 3 and 2. Take a look at some college scores. Grounded through the middle. Hearn knocks it down, has no play. Carl Pohlad, the owner of the Minnesota Twins, has just watched Kirby Puckett get his 4th hit. It's an infield single, 4 for 4 plus a walk.
The ball appeared to hit the seam, and we saw the other night the ball on Ken Herbeck that Vince Coleman went to first base. The ball hit the seam to start off that inning for the Cardinals in Game 5. Infield hit for Puckett.
Gaetti now. 1-0 the count.
That's what makes it so difficult on the turf. A lot of times you hear people say the ball does speed up. It doesn't speed up. It just doesn't slow down any. So even though you get to the ball, instead of getting it in the pocket, you get it in the heel of the glove. And as you said, when it has a irregular bounce because it is hitting the seam, it makes the play even harder.
2-0. A 7th game tomorrow night at 8 Eastern time. And don't forget, we get an extra hour of sleep as we go back to standard time. So if he starts Danny Cox, the good news for Herzog is he has 2 days and 1 extra hour's rest. You'll take it where you can find it.
That's right. That's right.
Timmy, I don't know about you, but the only pitcher that I ever pitched with that ever pitched on 2 days rest was Mike Cuellar, and he was more or less a hard thrower when he first came up, but a junk baller, could change speed. So, well, Cox really is not that type of pitcher.
I don't think so, even though he doesn't rely on the fastball. Of course, the well-chronicled last 3 weeks of the 1964 season for the Philadelphia Phillies, when Jim Bunning and Chris Short, managed by Gene Mock, went on 2 days rest quite a bit. Gene's still living that down, that season down, and that is a real shame in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
a truly terrific manager.
To center field, McGee got a late read on it, but now he gauges it. 1 down, and Don Baylor is the batter. You know, an interesting thing, Tim, that you brought up in regard to Mock, and I was thinking of his nephew Roy Smalley of the Twins. Roy's dad played for about 11 years in the big leagues, and Uncle Gene has not gotten to a World Series. And Roy, as you take a look at Randy Bush coming up to hit for Baylor, Roy Jr. finally makes it into the series this year. So a long, long time for the Smalley clan. And Roy Jr. will be 35 tomorrow. Here's Bush. Randy takes outside, ball 1. That's grounded off the glove of Lindemann into right field, and Puckett will go to third. So Randy Bush comes off the bench to put runners at first and third with 1 out and bring up Bernansky.
Most likely will be an error, but this ball is nailed. You can see him holding the runner, talking about Jim Lindemann. Has to backhand it because he doesn't have any time to play it any other way. Right fielder used to play third base. pretty close down at first base.
I'll tell you what's really interesting, the fact that Randy Bush pinch hit then. Don Baylor was the right-handed hitter when the Twins were only up by 1 in the 6th inning.
Right.
Against a right-hander.
But I'll tell you why. Because all year long, everybody's talked about Tom Kelly using everybody. And I think what he wanted to do, even though Baylor with a 2-run home run, he wanted to get him another at-bat in case he has to face Cox tomorrow.
Do you think that Tom Kelly knew that Whitey Herzog would walk Baylor anyway?
Good question. That's grounded fair, knocked down by Oquendo and picked up, throws, and gets him on a wonderful play, but the Twins get another run as Puckett crosses the plate. So Bernansky grounds out but gets an RBI, 2 down, and it's 11-5.
Oh, no idea about that, but I think Baylor would have hit then as you take another look at that play. Oquendo, as Timmy said, is a great shortstop when he gets a chance to play, and you can see why. Great range, and now you see the arm, even though it's been bothering him. Not too many third basemen even get to that. Here you see the tail end of the play on the good throw and the good stretch by Lindemann.
Now they will walk Herbeck intentionally. The last time he came up, there was no place to put Herbeck on with the bases loaded. But with the opportunity here not to pitch to him and take their chances with Laudner instead, they walk him to put runners at first and second. On Bush's ball, by the way, it's ruled an error on Lindemann. And we can tell you this telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball, including Ken Herbeck's household, where it might be replayed a few times through the years. Herbeck, and here it was again in the 6th. And that made the score 9-5. And right now Herbeck at first with Laudner at the plate and a half swing strike. Bush at second, Herbeck at first, 2 down in the 8th inning. 11-5 Twins. I tell you, if the nose, ear, and throat doctors in this town don't do big business next week, I give up. Between the larynxes and the ringing eardrums, wow. Smith to her, but the Twins get another run. It's unearned. To the 9th, 11-5 Minnesota in Game 6.
Memo to Phil in DP. You seem to think IBM's 386 PCs are an automatic buy. I don't. Not when we have a choice. I suggest you look at AT&T's 6386.
Introducing the AT&T 6386 workgroup system.
The issue here isn't just computers and software, but it's keeping our options open, now and down the road.
Really, Norton, you'd think you'd never had ice cream before. Oops.
There's only one camera system you can buy that lets you hold the picture in your hand while you still hold the feeling in your heart. The Polaroid Spectra system.
When David's not around, nothing takes his place. But wearing his Van Heusen sure helps.
Van Heusen, for a man to wear and a woman to borrow.
You know, Jerry, you're a terrific husband and a super salesman.
Hey, Beth, what is this?
A financial genius. You're not.
Very few of us are. We can help. At New York Life, we have the resources to make the most of your resources. We offer a range of financial opportunities, including mutual funds, universal life, and limited partnerships. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Get the most out of life with New York Life.
Saturday. Cut! A new team.
You could be a star.
I'm flattered.
In a killer's fantasy. O'Hara at a special time. Then Mikhail Baryshnikov, David Copperfield, B. Arthur, Don Johnson, and more. A command performance for the president. The All-Star Gala at Ford's Theater. And on Hotel, Peter's ex-girlfriend is running a risky business.
This is an escort service.
Prostitution, you call that a step up?
Hotel, right after O'Hara and the All-Star Gala, Saturday.
You know what I think's happening these days? The playoffs are so exciting. It takes the World Series a little time to build. And early on in this series, there didn't appear to be that much interest. And then all of a sudden, we're 3 outs away from a 7th game, and it's a very interesting series.
With the exception of the series starting here, as a matter of fact, what's a good story? It has a good beginning, middle, and end. This is going to end like it began, very noisily. Huh?
Well, I'm sure the Cards don't want that to happen.
It's going to end noisily,
oh,
regardless,
noisily, yes.
regardless of whether the Twins win or lose.
9th inning, Jeff Reardon has come in. So Kelly does opt, as we suspected before, to give Reardon an inning, inasmuch as he has not been that active, and he will be fresher in Tom's mind tomorrow if needed. He faces Pena, and the count on Pena is 1-1. Pena, Coleman, and Smith in the 9th. Berenguer worked 3, meaning tomorrow night he probably could get maybe 2 innings out of him.
Well, the way he pitched in the playoffs, he might want to get the ball to start. 4 out of 5 games. But outstanding job, and he changed his pattern. And speaking of patterns, this guy has so many options. I really didn't have a chance, Tim, to see him pitch that much. As you look at Kirby Puck, 4 for 4, 4 runs scored. Reg Giroux. A lot easier to score 4 runs when you hit 3 home runs. I assume it's in that ball game.
I do too. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
2-2. Goose Goslin of the Washington Senators. 1924. That's the only world championship this franchise has won. And that's hit over Gagne's head into center for a base hit. So Pena is on. A leadoff single in the 9th inning, and Vince Coleman comes up. Battling a case of the flu and 0 for 4. Vince is now 4 for 23 in the series.
I'll tell you, I know this sounds a little strange, but even if the Cardinals don't catch the Twins, they would like to see Reardon throw a lot of pitches, and to have them possibly score 3 runs. Give them something to think about. Not only doing that, do you make a battle out of it and give them a finish, but you get Reardon throwing a lot of pitches and spoil the strategy of Tom Kelly.
Broken bat, little squibber up the middle, and a nice play by Lombardozzi to cross the bag and then come back and get Pena 4 unassisted. 1 away here in the 9th inning.
Well, such a good play. Number 1, he catches the ball, and we saw what could happen in St. Louis when a ball hits the dirt. Doesn't think about 2. Of course, Coleman's running, but gets the sure out with an 11-5 lead. That's what you want to do. Gagne backs him up just in case something happens to keep the runner from going to 3rd, but nice play.
So 1 out. And to our crew, our thanks for the job today, led by Kurt Gowdy Jr., our producer, and Craig Janoff, our director.
Not only today, but all 6 games. They've been fabulous.
Absolutely. Smith hits it in the air to right field, and Grunansky goes back to the base of the fence and has it. Second long out for Ozzie Smith, and the crowd will build. They're an out away from sending it to 7. Here's her. If you were wondering about the decibel meter we showed you earlier, that baby is broken. Herbeck's home run rendered it inoperative. Gonzo out of here. Two out of the 9th. 1-1 on Tommy Herr. I think the crowd is pacing itself. I really do.
Like Reardon.
Yeah. They know they've got one more night. So there are little lulls here and there just to rest the vocal cords. Smalley and Baylor. Runner goes, and a base hit into right field with Lombardozzi going over to cover second. And that was sort of odd because what they were really doing is letting Coleman have free rein. The throw wasn't going to go through anyway, and then Lombardozzi goes over, and Kelly's angry because if Lombardozzi had stayed where he should have stayed, this game would be over.
Certainly he would have had a play, and you're exactly right. With playing behind Vince Coleman, you're going to give him second anyway, and that's the reason that Kelly is upset. Watch Lombardozzi in the top of your screen. You do that out of habit, but a case can be made that the ball game's over had he stayed in his position.
Of course, I'd rather have him do it in an 11-5 game and learn from it than have it happen tomorrow night.
If it were a close game, though, they'd be holding him on.
That's true. But then there'd be a reason to cover.
Yeah, right.
0-1 the count on Morris with 2 out and 2 on in the ninth. And Minnesota leading 11-5.
And that's the most emotion we've seen from Tom Kelly. And again, that's not putting, I mean, it sounds like, or it looks like it may be putting down a second baseman, but he'll learn from it. And I'm sure he'll talk to him, and it's not going to happen again. That's what baseball is all about. Living, learning, failing, succeeding.
Runner goes, uncontested steal and a strike, and they give Tommy Herr second base.
It's a pretty good idea of why you need to blow out the Cardinals.
0-2. Cardinals down to their last strike. Grounded to Herbeck, foul ball. Still 0-2. Pena and the Cardinals one more night in Minneapolis. A reminder, those of you on the West Coast, Cal against UCLA college football following. 0-2. One and two. Popped up. Laudner coming over, and the Twins send it to 7. Budweiser play of the game, Ken Herbeck. Ken Daly had come in, game tied. 6th inning. Bases loaded. Let's go to Reggie with Ken Herbeck.
Thank you very much, Al Michael. With me, a couple of stars in the ball game, all three of them. Ken Herbeck, did you feel that they had to hear from you three guys today offensively? You've been kind of quiet the World Series.
It's been the whole talk. Me and Kirby grouped through in with a big home run for us to put us one. I guess tie it up. I guess I don't know what the heck it did. But we
4 hits, 4 runs scored. Nice going.
Well, thanks, Reg. I was just trying to hit the ball up the middle today. Two had a change up. Just trying to stay back and just stay within myself like I've been all year. And I was just glad to do it today.
Johnny Baylor, a lot of experience. Mr. Clutch again, a big home run.
Well, there's a change up down. I'm pretty sure it's a good pitch for Tudor. But in that situation, I was looking to drive in the run, and so it happened I hit it out of the ballpark.
Minnesota Twins, you guys come home. You never say die. Let's go back up to Al Michaels.
Thank you, Reggie. So that's the story from Minneapolis. Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, Tim McCarver saying so long from the Dome, where the Twins even the series at 3 games apiece, beating the Cardinals today 11-5. Coming up next on the West Coast, California at UCLA. Then tomorrow on ABC Sports, the McDonald's Basketball Open features the Soviet Union against the NBA's Milwaukee Bucks. And then tomorrow night, the one-game showdown. Game 7 of the World Series from the Metrodome. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Game 6 of the 1987 World Series has been brought to you by Merrill Lynch, by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By AT&T, the right choice. And by Chevrolet, the official car and truck of Major League Baseball. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as a leader in sports television. We'll see you tomorrow.